Oh, straight into the roof of the net.
Nice one.
Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here today.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get this week started. Right on the show today, Pakistan cricket is trolled once again, this after a humiliating loss at home. And if the defeat was not worse enough, the PCB chief's comments post the test has attracted more criticism. What lies ahead for Pakistan cricket? Ever heard of being punished for smiling in a selfie? That's what is likely to happen to silver medalists at the Games. North Korean paddlers are in trouble for grinning in a selfie post their win. Stay on to know more on that. And Duplantis is creating records by the tournament, proving to be an unstoppable force in the world of sport. What made him choose his mother's birth country, Sweden, over his own, America? But first, let's look at the headlines in Sports 360. Starting with tennis, world number 2 Novak Djokovic began his title defense at the US Open. The Serb secured a 6-2, 6-2, 6-4 win in the first round against Radu Albot of Moldova. Djokovic is eyeing for a record 25th Grand Slam at the tournament. He next faces his compatriot Laszlo Djere in the second round. Over in the women's draw, world number 2 Aryna Sabalenka cruised to the second round. She crushed Australia's Priscilla Hon 6-3, 6-3, and in another game, defending champion Coco Gauff has also advanced to round 2, beating France's Arvara Gracheva 6-2, 6-love in straight sets. Over in cricket, the BCCI has announced the squad for the Women's T20 World Cup 2024. Harmanpreet Kaur will be leading the side as captain. Star batter Smriti Mandhana has been named as vice-captain. India's first match in the tournament is against New Zealand on the 4th of October. And in the revised schedule announced by the ICC, India will face Pakistan on the 6th of October. Over in football, Cristiano Ronaldo has opened up on his international career plans. He said he has no plans to retire soon. Ronaldo also said he won't become a coach after his football career ends. The 5-time Ballon d'Or receiver recently launched a YouTube channel which has almost gotten 50 million subscribers and counting. And former England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson has passed away at the age of 76. He took charge of the English side in 2001. It was under him that stars like David Beckham, Steven Gerrard and Wayne Rooney played for England. Eriksson also led top clubs in Sweden, Portugal and Italy to major domestic trophies. Let me give you some hints to this story. The chief throwing the players under the bus. The team itself crushing to a humiliating 10-wicket loss for the first time ever to this particular opposition. The authorities still claiming they need to do a surgery to rectify the wrong that is ailing the sport in the country, and the sporting board using AI, that's right, to choose players for the next tournament. If you haven't guessed it already, then I'll give it to you. And I'll give you a blatant one at that. Today we speak about a sporting body and team that has had a horrific year in international cricket. Pakistan is in the news again, and when there's too much going on, it's best to begin at the start of it all, with Pakistan crumbling to a 10-wicket loss to Bangladesh at home in front of their own crowds. To declare at 4:48 in the assumption that this total was enough and then be bundled out for just under 150, it's tough to point out whether this was complacency and overconfidence that did them in. Were they really that appalling? Or did Bangladesh play some really good cricket? Maybe it was a bit of all of this. Now, there are two countries in turmoil here. There are burning issues that everyone back home in Bangladesh are having to deal with, and yet they came up trumps, leaving Pakistan in shambles. So obviously, the ever-vigilant troll factory ready to condone Pakistan cricket woke up. There were memes out and about criticizing yet another disappointing display. Earlier, it was an early exit from the ODI World Cup. This was last year, followed by a horrific exit from the T20 World Cup. That was just some months ago. And now, the test format looks just as withering. It feels like Pakistan cricket cannot seem to put one foot right. And ready to absolve the team from any board itself from any blame is the PCB chief himself, Mohsin Naqvi.
I spoke of surgery because we need to fix our problems. But when we look at how to resolve them, we don't have any solid data or player pool. The problem is the selection committee has no pool to turn to from which to select players. For surgery, you need all the tools to perform it.
What Naqvi says makes it seem like they really do not know the way forward. The senior players have not stood up and delivered. There needs to be some level of accountability. A fresh thinking and a fresh perspective needs to come in. There needs to be a massive overhaul. But do they really know how? Seems unlike so, because right after lamenting on the lack of talent in the country, Naqvi went on to say that they will rely on AI to pick players and teams for the upcoming Champions Cup trophy. No jokes here. Kevin Peterson, former cricketer and a commentator, didn't find Pakistan's performance funny either. He blamed the system in place to groom and grow talents in the country. On the other hand, what an emotional win it has been for Bangladesh. In fact, the moment was not lost on the team. Captain Shanto addressed the elephant in the room when he came out for the post-match press conference.
We are paying tribute to the individuals who recently passed away in our nation during the protests, and we are praying for their souls.
A classic example, this, of one country rising despite the chaos that's raging on around them, as opposed to another that is continuing to succumb to the pressures and intensity that is only increasingly growing on them. A worrisome sign for not just the health of cricket in Pakistan, but also a big question mark on the health of world cricket when something like this pans out. Now, certain regions, even countries that are separated by just a few miles, often share similar topography, flora and fauna patterns and cultures. But when the political differences are just so stark, then similarities do little. Like India-Pakistan, Saudi-Yemen, or North Korea and South Korea. When it comes to sports, though, you'd think the strife would not come in the way, but you'd be so very wrong. Even a global platform like Olympics couldn't bring the two nations here, North Korea and South Korea, really together. In fact, the animosity is such that even sports dare not bring a smile on their faces, quite literally. Two table tennis players from North Korea might face action by the government for grinning in a selfie. Yes, let that thought sink in. These two medalists, two heroes of North Korea, are in trouble for smiling in a selfie. But before we get into the reason, take a look at the picture that's the center of the storm. In the picture, you can see North Korea's table tennis mixed team events silver medalists Ri Jong-sik and Kim Yong. And the athlete taking the selfie is South Korea's Lim Jong-hoon. It also had the Chinese gold medalist pair too in that picture. Quite a common thing, right? It has become a bit of a tradition at the Olympics these days. All the medalists posing for the cameras after the competition, on the podium, and then of course posing for a quick selfie, making the podium finish that much more memorable. And the fact that this one had North Korea and South Korea athletes in one frame, it was indeed an epic photo. That's how people world over and even in South Korea reacted to it. But the image that was seen as a beautiful gesture by the world over was a controversial one for North Korea. While the world thought, here's a show of sportsmanship and sportswomanship and a sign of cross-border unity, North Korea is not happy at all. They are viewing this as a violation of their orders, their guidelines. Now you see, before the Olympics, North Korea authorities reportedly issued a series of diktat that their athletes needed to follow. A set of orders that included how the country expected them to behave towards South Korean athletes in particular, and the rest of the world, of course, what they should say and do, and of course, what they should avoid. Here's one. The North Koreans cannot smile standing alongside a South Korean athlete. And ever since the selfie went viral, it is reported that the silver medalists have been lambasted for standing next to the South Korean athletes and grinning. Quite a heavy price to pay for a smile. Now, we know what political chaos has often affected relations between the sporting ethos of countries, and that often spills over to the athletes too. But this episode is a tad hard to digest because we see the biggest of rivals, India and Pakistan, for example, often sharing a few laughs together, posing for pictures, of course, whether it's in cricket, a crossover to hockey, or even the latest chapter between these two countries involving Arshad Nadeem and Neeraj Chopra, the javelin heroes, setting a classic example of camaraderie beyond the controversy. But clearly, the same cannot be said for North Korea and South Korea. Even during the Olympics opening ceremony, South Korea was wrongly introduced as North Korea. The human error created such an uproar that IOC had to personally speak to the South Korean president, Yoon Suk-yeol, and issue an apology to calm things down. And historically too, the athletes are conditioned in such a manner that they will not even so much as acknowledge each other's presence, especially the North Korean athletes, because the directives they have received from the government time and again are quite clear and stringent, particularly on this subject. During the 2023 Asian Games, for example, 3 North Korean shooters refused to participate in a group photo alongside South Korean athletes whom they'd lost to in the final. And even while South Korean athletes tried making light conversations with the North Korean team, the latter maintained stoic silence. Even when athletes of the two countries have faced each other in other competitions, it has been nothing short of warlike. In 2019, during the World Cup qualifier between North Korea and South Korea, the team played each other in Pyongyang, only the second time that South Korea had travelled here. The scoreline may read 0-0, but South Korean players described the game as war. The players from North Korea neither interacted nor made eye contact with the opposition players here. So clearly, when the directive is not to even interact, not to even look, a selfie, and that too a smiling one, was bound to become very, very problematic. Now, they say you live a little longer each time you smile. Let's just say these North Korean athletes in particular are not only going to suffer from the lack of smiles in the foreseeable future, but also from having smiled for one. Armand Duplantis, or fondly called Mondo Duplantis, continues to justify his name. Mondo, the Italian name given by his godfather, means the world in English. The Swedish-American pole vaulter is living up to that tag as he literally is bringing the world to his feet. Duplantis set yet another benchmark as he cleared a height of 6.26 meters at the Silesia Diamond League, a new world record, surpassing 6.25 meters that Duplantis himself set during the Paris Olympics recently. Something Mondo is used to doing time and again.
This year, I focused on the Olympics. The record just came naturally because I was in good shape. So I'm not surprised with the record today, but I'm thankful.
A streak that started in 2020 when he broke the world record by reaching the 6.17 meter mark. The previous best being 6.14. And ever since then, it has only been Duplantis against Duplantis, bettering his own record. He's done that 3 times this year already. And there is a steady pattern to it too. Every time Duplantis breaks a record, it goes up by a centimetre. So while he loves breaking these records, creating history, he also likes to do it at his own pace and not get carried away in the emotion of the moment. A mentality of a winner who has confidence but is never complacent. And every time Duplantis breaks the record, he celebrates in his own unique, exuberant style, except the one time that he, of course, imitated Yusuf Dikech's calm and composed pose at the Olympics, a bit of an ode to the shooter. He's put Sweden on the map, though, has Duplantis, in a sport that never reached the dizzying heights that Mondo has brought it to. And to think that this glory, this fame could have gone to USA. Duplantis could have represented America, the country he was born in, but he chose to participate for Sweden instead. Despite having dual citizenship, Duplantis took the decision to respect his heritage. The 24-year-old was born to an American father and a Swedish mother, and just 6 years ago in 2018, an 18-year-old Duplantis was considered the #1 high school track and field recruit who went on to be a champion at Louisiana State University. So he had everything going for him. Despite being a rising star in America's sporting circuit, though, Duplantis took the plunge and decided to represent the birth country of his mother instead. Of course, there was one big reason for it: the fewer age restrictions imposed by Sweden, which meant Duplantis could start early and take off. This is the reason, the biggest reason why, at just 24, Duplantis already has 2 World Championship gold, 2 Olympic gold medals, in addition to 3 Diamond League golds. The biggest reason Duplantis chose Sweden over USA was, of course, also the inclusion of Duplantis' father as a coach, which was not permitted by USA. And when Sweden made that possible, it became a no-brainer for Duplantis, whose mother is a former heptathlete herself, who competed in javelin, 800 meters, shot put, 200-meter dash, long jump, high jump, and 100-meter hurdles events. Duplantis is clearly embracing his heritage and furthering the legacy that his mother stood for. So opting Sweden was a very emotional call by the pole vaulter, who doesn't let his emotions sway his performance on the pitch. And quite a brave one too, this, because we've often seen athletes pick their country of birth over the immigrated one, the one given to them by their parents. But here Duplantis is born and bred in America, and yet he had the leverage to pick a country that has a decorated history in athletics at the Games. But Mondo embraced his emotions. No wonder he is the most loved figure in pole vaulting, and now is growing to be synonymous with the sport itself. Time for last serve. A perfect gravy is the soul of any cuisine across the world. But a sporting competition in England has given a new twist to this. Amateur wrestlers from around the world gathered to win the title of World Gravy Wrestling Competition. Not by eating it, but by competing in the pool filled with good old British sauce. Take a look. Not for the faint-hearted, that, and many finding themselves in quite the sticky situation. Not us here though, but that does it here on Firstpost. Thanks for joining in. I'll see you again tomorrow. Till then, do take care. Bye-bye.
Climate change is on our doorstep. It's time for a revolution to take root. And And it starts with 1.4 billion Indians. It starts with one tree. One tree for humanity. One tree for Mother Earth. One tree for a future. Project One Tree, a News 18 network initiative.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
Bringing you diverse perspectives on the issues that matter.
We go beyond the boundaries to give you that little extra about every sporting moment. So thank you for making Firstpost 5 million strong. We're counting on your support, and you can trust us to bring you the news unfiltered and unvarnished. Obviously today, the T20 World Cup bandwagon has moved across to the West Indies. What do you expect from this?
Hello, I'm Alison Green, coming to you from Durban, South Africa. Today we have a special show.
We'll start with a report on India's shifting nuclear posture. For the first time since India officially became a nuclear power.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost America. I'm Aaron Ham, coming to you live from the nation's capital.